Bad Mechs, Assassin, written by Sean of Sarna.net, the greatest wiki there is. Read by Shrapnel. Waiting in an underground parking garage, Jensen couldn't help but feel the clandestine nature of his business was entirely appropriate for a mech called Assassin. Mech Corporation would never officially condone his actions, but Jensen knew the project was in trouble. Mech could try to woo SLDF procurement officers with performance reports that stank so bad that even he could tell they were bullshit, but none of that would matter. Money talks. Money gets you noticed by the right people, not the official kind, or the kind that cared about budget estimates and cost projections. Anyone who could put 2 and 2 together knew there was no way Mech could produce the Assassin at the same price per unit as a Stinger. The unofficial kind, the illicit kind, the kind that gets exchanged underground in the middle of the night. Which is exactly where Jensen was, and exactly where his contact would be in the next 45 seconds. Sure enough, a black hovercar approached the parking spot where Jensen was standing. No words were exchanged. The black tinted window rolled down. An arm wearing a pinstripe sleeve poked out, and Jensen handed it the briefcase. Then it sped off back up the ramp and into the cool, damp night. Jensen let out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. The project would be saved, the Assassin would get made, and he'd make his Mech's overseer a very happy lady. To understand the Assassin, one has to understand the heady days of the Star League. With one central major military power, the military-industrial complex had just one place to turn to for funding, and it was often easier to bribe one's way to a new mech contract than create a quality product. Star League procurement was sensationally corrupt at its height, with corporations greasing palms more often than a 38-year-old after midnight. Hence, we get the Assassin, a mech that fulfilled a niche that never really existed to begin with. Mechs Corporation marketed the Assassin as a replacement for the Stinger and Wasp, proposing it as a cheaper and more effective alternative. They managed to convince Star League procurement of this through false budget reports and overly optimistic service life projections. The actual price of the Assassin was over twice that of the Stinger or Wasp it was meant to replace. Costs aside, much of the Assassin's marketing centered around how the mech would outperform its intended replacements, and in this regard, the marketing wasn't too far off. With greater speed, jump capacity, armor, and weapons, the Assassin could dictate the terms of engagement of either the Stinger or Wasp, assuring victory in the hands of any competent pilot. This led to the Assassin's undeserved reputation as a light mech hunter. Even when the Assassin was introduced, several Star League-era light mechs could outrun, outshoot, or outlast the Assassin. The Commando offered nearly as much armor and speed, but far surpassed the Assassin in firepower. Both the Mongoose and Hussar could outrun the Assassin, and even the humble urban mech had immense firepower and armor in comparison, albeit at the cost of near immobility. A century later, the Assassin was falling behind in most areas. The Draconis Combine's new Jenna equaled the Assassin in speed and far surpassed it in firepower. The Valkyrie could outtrade LRM fire with the Assassin until both their ammunition bins ran dry, at which point the Valkyrie's tougher armor would carry the day in a direct engagement. The Panther's PPC could blow holes in the Assassin's armor while enduring what little return fire it could muster. But the Assassin led a charmed life. The chassis wouldn't see large-scale engagement until 2980, when the Free Worlds League repelled a Fedsun's assault on Rochelle during the Third Succession War. Taking less damage than their slower comrades, which was probably better explained by selection bias than any true durability on the Assassin's part, the Assassin's reputation remained intact even as spare parts meant that house militaries fielded fewer and fewer Assassins as the Succession Wars dragged on. By the time the clans invaded, there were very few Assassins left, BattleTech would later attempt to revive the chassis during the Fedcom Civil War. The ASN-30 variant replaced the missile weapons with an LBX AC-5, while the medium laser was upgraded with an extended range model. However, during those combat-heavy years, BattleTech found that performance was the only metric that truly mattered to Lyran military procurement in the middle of a war, and the lightly armed assassin simply couldn't compete on the modern battlefield. Hellspawn Mechworks would attempt to field a further upgraded ASN-99 with stealth armour and a sword, but by then the assassin's luck had run out, and no new variants had been produced since the Jihad. The assassin leaves a complicated legacy, proving that with the right connections, even a bad idea can become a highly profitable reality. But time has a way of ending lies, and so time eventually caught up with the assassin and ended it. Well, hello everyone, Shrapnel here, and I hope you enjoyed that. What do you think of the assassin? I've only played it a few times and I've been underwhelmed, to say the least. Okay, it can run, it can jump, but its weapons are a mess. And honestly, people either ignore it or it gets taken out by a lucky LRM. But what do you think? Do you love it? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Do you kill it on sight? Let me know in the comments below. And as ever, massive thank you to Sean of Sarna.net and everyone that volunteers there. I've been Shrapnel, and I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.